Flight to Pontianak pending approval. KUCHING-SINKAWANG bus to launch in 2023. COVID-19 infections in China grows to uncontrollable levels. These are the headlines for tonight. I'm Hendy Gui and you're watching TVS Nightline. Chinese hospitals and funeral homes are under intense pressure as the surging COVID-19 wave drained resources, while the scale of the outbreak and doubts over official data prompted some countries to consider new travel rules for Chinese visitors. Long queues were inside and outside many hospitals' emergency departments, where many were in dire need of oxygen due to low oxygen levels. The Dongjiao Funeral Home, one of the biggest in Chengdu, was full and funeral processions were constant as smoke billowed from the crematorium. International health experts are concerned over the spike in infections, largely unchecked and likely infecting millions of people a day. Now, traveling to Indonesia via bus will soon be made possible thanks to Sarawak, as the cross-border bus service is expected to be operational next year. State Transport Minister Datuk Sri Lee Kim Shin said various discussions will be held with Indonesia counterpart regarding the number of bus trips in a day, including completing some other processes such as permit applications. Elaborating, Lee said the initial proposal from the local bus association was to carry out 5 trips in and out daily for the 2 countries concerned. However, he noted that if there is an increase in demand, the number of trips will be higher from time to time.
Belum lagi, tapi maybe para pemulanya ada cadangan daripada persatuan bas tadi, dia kata 5 trip. 5 trip both side lah. Itu for the start lah. Kalau the demand is there, we can increase lah, macam Pontianak, no? We can always increase the number of trips.
Commenting further, Lee disclosed that a port was also proposed to be built at 2 immigration, customs, quarantine and security ICQS complexes, each located at Biawak, Sarawak and in Aruk, West Kalimantan. He added that the port will be another gateway for the people of both countries to come and go, in addition to facilitating transport, economic and trade logistics activities.
Memanglah satu cadangan supaya kita juga adakan satu in-import untuk aktiviti logistik, transport dan aktiviti bertambah, aktiviti ekonomi dan perdagangan.
He said at a press conference after an official working visit to ICQS Biawak to review preparations at the Lundut District Office on Wednesday, December 28. Meanwhile, the Sarawak government is still waiting for approval from the Indonesian government pertaining to the implementation of direct flights from Kuching to Pontianak. Transport Minister Datuk Sri Lee Kim Shin expressed hope that the decision would be made in the near future in order for the initiative to be implemented again next year.
Pak Radin sini selama ini telah memanglah memberi banyak sokongan kepada kita dan kerjasama dengan kita, dan kita juga berharaplah pada tahun akan datang, awal tahun ini berharaplah penerbangan juga kita antara Kuching dan Pontianak dapat diadakan semula lah. Kita masih tunggu Pak Radin, tunggu jawapan. Tunggu jawapan daripada Jakarta.
He said at a press conference after an official working visit to ICQS Biawak to review preparations at the Lundut District Office on Wednesday, December 28. Last September, Lee said the Sarawak government would discuss with Indonesia in kickstarting direct flights from Kuching to Pontianak. He said that his side also understood that AirAsia had made an application to start flights for the route and hoped that it could be realized soon so that the country's transport sector could return to the way it was before the COVID-19 pandemic. Malaysia will see a surge in flight demand following the reopening of China's borders. Transport Minister Anthony Locke said there will be flights going in and out of China, and he believes it will increase air traffic movement between both countries next year.
However, Locke did not disclose any specific increase in percentage. It was reported that China will reopen borders on January 8, 2023, after almost 3 years of closing its borders. On fixing prices of air tickets, Locke said the government has no plans to fix any pricing for airlines as they operate based on dynamic pricing. He also noted that airfares are usually increased during the festive season. Hence, he encourages airlines to add more flights so that the prices can be more affordable. Locke said the government is more than happy to assist and support any airlines who are prepared to provide such fixed fares. Meanwhile, as delayed flights due to bad weather conditions are unavoidable, Locke advises airlines to practice better communication with passengers to handle such situation. He also explained that Batik Air's 8-4 delay last week was caused by a diversion to Langkawi and for a new crew to board as the pilots had exceeded the permitted flight hour limit.
In the past, it is a norm for airline companies to hike the price of airfares during the festive season and school holidays. However, due to economic recession and recent disasters such as the COVID-19 pandemic and flash floods, many are burdened by the expensive price of airfares. Should this practice still be kept as a norm by airline companies? Let's hear what the public has to say.
Like any other students from Sarawak who are studying in other states, Damia is always burdened by the thought of the price she has to pay to go home, especially when emergency situation arises.
Kini memang student pun hidup macam aduh susah sikit lah. Memang berharap dengan duit parent orang, jadi memang perlu belajar berjimat, dah tiket flight mahal, susah je. Kami harap time musim perayaan tu tolonglah turunkan harga. Sebab orang pun susah je.
The burden also felt by Presley Nyanyul, a taxi driver who shares similar sentiment and describes the expensive flights as unreasonable, especially at times of economic instability.
Ya, kalau bagi saya memang membebankan rakyat sebab rakyat pun bukan senang dapat uang. Sekarang musim susah, ekonomi pun masih tak stabil bang. Boleh dikurangkan lah supaya penumpang boleh dapat pergi ulang alik pun tabang pun tak mahal lah. Kalau mahal susah lah bagi macam budak sekolah ke apa nak pergi ke Sinun yang balik ke situ lah.
Meanwhile, for full-time housewife Sarimah Ibrahim, her wish to board the airplane had to be cancelled following the extreme prices of flight tickets during the festive season. She also recommends special prices for the seniors.
Minta kerajaan rendahkanlah tiket sebab melambung-lambung naik harga tiket. Saya nak balik itu pun dah nak mencecah sampai 800 tau. Tak jadi naik. Kalau bolehlah. Lakulah yang sewajarnya lah. Kalau nak tiket tu berpatutan lah kan. Tak perayaan boleh pula tiket tu harga murah. Bila perayaan je naik. Macam mana tu? Tu je lah kalau boleh. Pertimbangkanlah bagi kerajaan ni kan. Harga tiket ni lepas tu bagi macam warga emas ke ni bagilah diskaun sikit lah kan.
Previously, former Transport Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Wee Ka Siong has called for local airlines to implement and offer additional flights and cheap return airfares between Peninsular Malaysia and Sabah and Sarawak during the upcoming festive seasons. Wee, in a Facebook post, said adding capacity in the number of flights during peak season is an effective step to overcome the congestion and reduce the airfares.
Now, the low-cost courier AirAsia is offering additional flights to Sabah and Sarawak for the upcoming Chinese New Year celebration. In a statement, the airline said, with fixed rates starting at 199 ringgit and 249 ringgit for one-way, there would be 52 special extra flights to 6 destinations in East Malaysia.
The flights will be from Kuala Lumpur and Johor to Kuching, Sibu, Bintulu and Miri, while the same goes to Kota Kinabalu and Tawau, whereas Johor only goes to Kota Kinabalu. All seats will be available for booking starting December 28th, 2022, and apart from that, the extra special flights will operate 274 flights weekly to the same destinations. Minister of Transport Anthony Lok said the government is pleased to see AirAsia supporting its initiative to bring down fares during the important festive season, despite their operational constraints. Meanwhile, AirAsia Aviation Group Limited Group Chief Executive Officer Bo Lingam said, as the people's airline, reconnecting guests with their loved ones at affordable fares is important to the company.
A total of 59,710 of the 734,388 land title deeds registered in Sarawak will be affected by a revision of the land tax rate from January 1st next year. Sarawak Land and Survey Department said the review was carried out following intensive development in the city and its surrounding areas.
The intensive development had resulted in the land category of an area to be upgraded. It explained that, for example, that there was a suburban land that was upgraded to urban land and even rural land that was upgraded to urban land. The department said the existing land tax rate had also been in use for 28 years since 1994. The new property tax rate will see land title deeds for shop houses charged at a rate of 22 cent to 1 ringgit 62 cent per square meter. The public can also get more information on the matter from the Sarawak Land and Survey Department website at www.landsurvey.sarawak.gov.my.
All associations under the Federation of Chinese Associations of Sarawak are encouraged to digitize historical, tradition, heritage and cultural records. Its president, Dr. Richard Wee, said the digitizing of these records is a conducive method for the keepsake for the younger generations.
He also lauded the proposal made by the Minister of Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts, Datuk Sri Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah, who informed that his party will look further into the matter.
I think the suggestion of such a way of digitalizing it and keep it, whether it is in the clouds or whether it's in the server and all that sort of thing, it's a good suggestion. I think I would definitely encourage all the other associations to do so that the Federation of Chinese Association would be able to obtain those records easily once all the other member associations have their own records.
When met by TVS, Richard said most associations such as the Hokkien Association, Fuchao Association and Teochew Association have unique written records of their heritage. All records kept by the associations hold crucial historical values for each of the association's archives that will benefit future generations.
Now, 57 individuals from 7 families affected by the recent landslide in Kampong Koran Mawang are no longer finding refuge at the village hall. According to Koran Mawang Village Chief Matthew Anak Ringus, the affected families will be relocated temporarily to the homes of their relatives, as their own houses are currently unsafe to be inhabited. Today will be the last day the temporary evacuation center will be opened for operation.
Hari ini semua penduduk yang 7 buah keluarga tadi kira dipindahkan tepat pukul 12 tengah hari inilah sebab kira TVS ini kira mau tutup lah hari ini. Balik rumah ke saudara marah.
Saudara marah.
Belum dapat balik ke tempat rumah sendiri.
Okay.
Sebab kira belum selamat digunakan.
According to Matthew, the landslide occurred at 12:14 p.m. on December 23rd, while most of the victims were gathered in their living room areas. Fortunately, there was no fatality reported, though several affected families are currently suffering due to property damages and unable to return home in the meantime. Matthew also continued to share about the current situation facing the victims.
Keadaan di tanah runtuh sekarang, kalau ikut perubahan daripada mula-mula tanah runtuh itu berlaku, setakat ini tidak ada perubahan lagi sebab keadaan cuaca dah kira pulih dan tidak ada hujan. Dan keadaan tanah pun macam sedia kala.
Commenting further, Matthew said the situation in Koran Mawang village is currently under control. All victims are in safe hands as well as given proper care while waiting for further updates from the fire department. Coming up right after the break, updates on flood disaster and over 200 Rohingyas rescued in Indonesia. Right here on TVS Nightline, stay tuned. Sarawak's Malaysian Meteorology Department, or Met Malaysia, could not give an accurate prediction as to when a flash flood will occur in Sarawak due to various factors. Its director, Khairul Najib Ibrahim, said each cause of flash flood will need to be scrutinized thoroughly.
Agak sukar untuk menentukan sama ada banjir boleh berlaku atau tidak. Ini kerana banyak faktor yang boleh menyebabkan banjir, seperti limpahan air hujan, air pasang surut, saliran sesuatu tempat, ketinggian kawasan serta keadaan tanah-tanah kawasan tersebut. Namun begitu, pihak Met buat masa ini tidak menjangkakan jumlah hujan yang banyak seperti yang kita terima tempoh hari.
At the same time, Khairul reminded members of the public to be vigilant and to be in the know with news or information related to current weather development while adhering to instructions from evacuation authorities.
Kepada mereka yang mempunyai kemudahan internet, bolehlah melayari laman web Met Malaysia di www.met.gov.my, aplikasi My Cuaca dan di kesemua media sosial kami. Orang ramai juga boleh menghubungi kami di talian hotline kami di 1300 22 1638 bagi mendapatkan maklumat terkini berkenaan cuaca.
He added the occurrence of heavy downpour will not be ignored as several divisions will experience it in the next few days. This includes Kuching, Serian, Samarahan, Sri Aman, Betong, Sarike, Sibu and Mocha.
Now, the federal government will consider rebuilding houses that were destroyed due to flash floods nationwide. And the new houses will be similar to Rumah Mesra Rakyat RMR. According to the Deputy Minister of Finance, Datuk Seri Ahmad Maslan, if the program is implemented, it will greatly ease the burden of those who have lost their homes. The potential project will be brought to the attention of Syarikat Perumahan Negara Berhad (SPNB).
Saya akan menyemak apabila esok petang bila berada di Kuala Lumpur untuk mendapatkan data-data daripada SPNB apakah bantuan rumah banjir yang musnah sama sekali yang boleh mereka bantu untuk memudahkan pembinaan semula rumah-rumah yang berkaitan. Walau bagaimanapun rumah itu tidak percuma, dia ada kaedah bayaran yang tidak terlalu tinggi dan boleh mampu milik diberikan.
Maslan spoke when presenting assistance to flood victims in Sekolah Kebangsaan SK Kampung La, Hulu Besut on Wednesday. The RMR, he added, will require recipients to fulfill several conditions, such as consensual construction from families if the land is not owned by the house owner. Maslan also called upon relevant agencies and organizations to lend a helping hand to those who have been extremely affected by the flood.
The Malaysian Civil Defence Force APM Sarawak Division will be monitoring 94 flash floods hotspots statewide closely. And according to APM Sarawak Head of Operation and Secretariat, Major Wan Muhammad Jaber Wan Muhammad Batruddin, these hotspots are located in remote areas.
Aktiviti pemantauan di lokasi-lokasi tersebut sedang giat dilakukan dan pasukan pemantau tersebut akan bertindak sebagai rapid ataupun kita sebutkan sebagai pasukan pantas respon kepada sekiranya berlaku apa-apa kes atau apa-apa kejadian bencana berlaku di kawasan-kawasan pemantauan mereka.
At the same time, Jaber advised members of the public to adhere to instructions by authorities to reduce the impact of the said disaster.
Kiranya para penduduk enggan memberikan kerjasama dalam proses pemindahan, kami di pihak APM terpaksa menggunakan Akta 221 Seksyen 4C iaitu denda sehingga RM10,000 dalam melicinkan proses evakuasi tersebut dan sedikit sebanyak kita dapat mengurangkan risiko kehilangan nyawa.
Now on to some global affairs. Another 232 Rohingya people safely reached ashore in northwestern Indonesia over the past few days after they took a risky sea journey to flee Bangladesh's cramped refugee camps weeks ago. The United Nations Refugee Agency said Indonesian fishermen and local authorities rescued and disembarked 2 groups of Rohingya, including 58 on Sunday and 174 on Monday.
Media reports says the majority of the rescued were women and children. The UN Refugee Agency said it is relieved to see more than 200 desperate people being brought ashore to safety in northwest Indonesia. It added many among them are believed to have been adrift for at least a month without any help before being rescued. They welcome this act of humanity by local communities and authorities in Indonesia. Citing the rescued Rohingya as saying, the UNHCR said 26 people died during the long journey due to dire conditions on board. The statement added those rescued are exhausted and dehydrated after a month of being adrift in regional seas. Meanwhile, UNHCR said it is attending to those rescued together with local authorities and humanitarian partner staff, as many required urgent medical attention for their condition to be stabilized. Rohingya refugees living in squalid makeshift tents in Bangladesh said frustration prompted them to take such life-risking moves.
From Myanmar, we became refugees in Bangladesh. We cannot read Bengali. We were provided assistance from Bangladesh and we came to Indonesia in a boat to make our lives better.
We left Bangladesh because my parents are no longer alive and I could not get married or get an education. We are poor, so we came here to Indonesia.
According to the UNHCR, more than 2,000 people are reported to have taken risky sea journeys in the Andaman Sea and the Bay of Bengal this year, and nearly 200 have reportedly died. The refugee agency also said it received unconfirmed reports that another boat with some 180 people aboard is still missing, with all passengers believed to be dead. Bangladesh is currently hosting over 1.2 million Rohingya in 33 camps in the southern border district of Cox's Bazar, as most of them fled a brutal military crackdown in Myanmar in 2017.
Now wrapping up the Nightline. Taiwan will extend its compulsory military service to 1 year and 4 months due to the rising threat of China. President Tsai Ing-wen said the move was made as China ramps up its military, diplomatic and economic pressure on Taiwan in order to assert its sovereignty claims.
The current 4-month compulsory military service system can no longer provide sufficient quantity of troops and quality training to meet the needs of combat readiness under the rapidly changing situation. After 2 years of complete evaluation and reviews, considering the troop supply needs, we decided to resume 1-year compulsory service starting from 2024.
The president said in a news conference that extending the conscription was a difficult decision, but it had to be made in order to protect Taiwan.
I have to admit that this is an incredibly difficult decision, but as president, as the commander-in-chief, protect the national security and ensure national interest, allowing Taiwan to survive eternally and that the people can live a free and democratic life for generations to come is an unavoidable responsibility of mine as the president.
Taipei, which rejects Beijing's sovereignty claims to Taiwan, reported on December 26 the largest ever Chinese Air Force incursion into the island's air defense identification zone, with 43 Chinese planes crossing an unofficial buffer between the two sides.
See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally. More headlines anytime at tvstv.my or follow us on our social media platforms. That's all the time we have for TVS Nightline. I'm Handy Gui. Thank you for watching.